With almost 50,000 known species of spiders around the world, and potentially far more than that are yet to be discovered, it's amazing to think that each one has its own unique behaviors, methods, and types of prey that they hunt, which means that they all have different approaches to the way that they weave their webs. It's generally accepted that there are 6 main types of webs that are used, from the commonly seen orb structures to the less obvious triangle and mesh designs. And even then, there's a great variety in how they're constructed. So with that in mind, it's time to enter a world of 8-legged creatures as we take a look at the top 15 cool-looking spider webs. Number 15. Darwin's bark spider. Darwin's bark spider was only discovered as recently as 2009, which is all the more surprising considering it's now known for creating the largest webs of any spider species. They're native to Madagascar, where they hunt small flying insects, and the spiders themselves don't look out of the ordinary, growing to around an inch or 2.2 centimeters long and taking on a mainly black color, with the exception of several fine white hairs. It has, however, been found to produce the strongest biological material to have ever been studied, which is both 10 times stronger than a similarly sized piece of Kevlar and at least twice as strong as any other known spider silk. With this, Darwin's bark spiders are able to produce the largest orb webs ever seen, often spanning an area of up to 30 square feet or 2.8 square meters. But they're also able to do something else incredible that no other spider is known to do. In order to catch their preferred meals of mayflies, they're actually able to build their webs over rivers, where they don't have to compete for space with other spiders. To begin with, they release a long strand of silk and wait for a gust of wind to carry it over and latch on to the other side. And then they can crawl onto it and start building the rest of their web. It's amazing to see in action and proof that even though you'd expect us to know most of the incredible behaviors in the natural world like this, there are still plenty more to be discovered. Number 14. Golden Silk Orbweaver. The golden silk orbweaver, as its name would suggest, is a species of spider that builds orb webs to capture its prey. But the webs these ones build are some of the most spectacular you'll ever see. Also known as banana spiders and giant wood spiders, they're native to warmer regions around the world because the spiderlings can be lifted up into the air currents to travel huge distances. It's therefore the same species that's found in Australia, Asia, Africa, and the Americas, which is extremely rare for any animal. Growing to around 2 inches long, the spiders spend their entire lives on their webs, ready to pounce on anything that's unfortunate enough to be caught. They get their names because the silk they produce has a yellow tint to it, and with this they will build the perfect orb webs that measure up to 5 feet across. Amazingly, the spiders have been found to be able to vary the intensity of the yellow coloration depending on where the web is being built, so that in direct sunlight it glimmers more and attracts insects such as bees towards it, while in the shade it's camouflaged more and gives the spider a place to hide from predators. Number 13. Ogre-faced spider. The aptly named ogre-faced spider is the name given to a family of spiders that can be found in tropical regions all over the world, from Australia and Africa to the Americas. But because of the way they've evolved separately from other spider species, they look and behave far different from how you may expect. The first thing you'll notice is that one of their pairs of eyes grow much larger than the others, and it's this unusual and arguably ghastly appearance that's given them their name. The other strange behavior of theirs is that they don't actually weave webs in any of the normal ways, and instead use their silk to capture prey by using a completely different technique. Also known as net-casting spiders, they have elongated front legs and weave a web between the tips of each one. Once complete, they will then stretch these 2 legs as wide open as they can, and they will sit still and wait. The web, which is now stretched up to 3 times its relaxed size, will vibrate the moment an insect touches it, and the spider releases the pressure. The prey will then get completely tangled in the web, and the spider has plenty of time to reel it in. With excellent night vision, ogre-faced spiders only cast their web nets at night, because when the sun rises again, it burns the light-sensitive membrane in their eyes to the point where they virtually become blind, and must wait again until it's dark so it can grow back again. Number 12. Diving bell spider. Diving bell spiders are the only known species of spider that can spend their entire lives underwater, and the reason they do this is that it's all down to the clever webs that they weave. Found in freshwater regions across Europe and Asia, they usually grow to around half an inch across and are typically a dark brown or gray color. When underwater, the spiders find the ideal position to build a web, which is often between marine plants, and begin to attach a series of sheets of silk on top of each other. Despite being an aquatic species, they still need to breathe oxygen, so swim to the surface where they catch bubbles of gas in the hairs on their legs. They then begin to swim back down to their web, where they release the air and the web begins to inflate and resemble a diving bell. The webs are waterproof, so the air remains in place, but they do allow for carbon dioxide to be filtered out, so the concentration of oxygen is still useful for the spider to breathe, although they do, of course, need to occasionally replenish it. While the web itself doesn't actually catch prey for them, the fact that it can recoup their energy while underwater makes it far easier for the spider to then swim out, track down, and capture prey before dragging it back to the safety of the web where it will then eat it. Number 11. Bowl and Doily Spider. The bowl and doily spider is a species that's found in North and Central America. Growing to up to 1/5 of an inch across, they are relatively small, but with the way they build their webs, you'll normally be more than aware of their presence. They create what are known as sheet webs, but theirs in particular are impressive feats of engineering and are where they get their name from. The web is formed in 2 stages. The first looks like an inverted dome or bowl, and this is put on top of a horizontal sheet web that's referred to as a doily. The spider itself will hang from the underside of the bowl part of the web and wait there until insects like small flies make contact with the sheet web. What's clever about this setup is that the spider is able to survey what's been caught in the web before approaching, and this significantly reduces the chance of its victim being able to fight back. Once it's ready to feast and feels safe enough, the spider bites through the web and can then approach its prey and begin to devour it. Number 10. Hyptiotes cavatus. The Hyptiotes cavatus, which is also known as the triangle weaver, is a species of orb-weaving spider that's found across the US and Canada. Despite being a type of orb weaver, its webs are highly unusual, and it uses them in a different way to catch its prey. Instead of building one that looks like a full circle, it instead creates a segment of a web that's triangular in shape, and this is the first sign that it's employing a unique method. The main angle of the triangle web is made up of an anchoring line, and once it's completed, the spider will then sit in the corner and pull on this line with its front legs until it becomes tense. Its rear legs hold on to a looser thread that's attached to a branch to hold it in position, and then it lays in wait. As the spider is so connected to the web by this stage, it feels every slight vibration and knows the instant that an insect has made contact. As soon as this happens, it releases its hind legs and is catapulted forward along with the entire web towards and around the prey. For a split second, it accelerates so quickly that it reaches 79 Gs, which is 8 or 9 times the maximum gravitational force that a fighter pilot experiences, and causes further strands of web to stick to the prey and wrap it up. With no means of escape, the spider can then casually approach its victim and begin the process of eating it. Number 9. Grass spider. At the right time of year, if you walk through a dewy meadow, you may well see a series of webs along the ground. Rather than being ones that have been blown off the nearby trees, these are in fact exactly where they're meant to be and have been constructed by grass spiders. There are several different species that are referred to by this name, and they're found across the Americas. The webs they form are a mixture of a sheet web and a funnel web, whereby they build a large sheet that has a funnel formation at one edge. The web itself isn't sticky at all, but with the interconnectivity of it all, the spider can sense movement wherever something makes contact with it, and it's so sensitive that it knows exactly where its potential prey is. The spider itself spends most of its time hiding within the funnel structure, so it can't be seen by any potential victims or predators. But once something has made contact with the web, it will launch itself from its hiding spot to attack. Despite this effective hunting ability, grass spiders only typically grow to around an inch long and rely on their speed as opposed to any venom to capture their prey. They are therefore completely harmless to humans, but the same can't be said if you're a grasshopper. Number 8. St. Andrew's cross spider. Native to regions across eastern Australia, the St. Andrew's cross spider is a particularly striking species. Growing to around half an inch across, they can be a range of colors such as silver, yellow, red, and black, and have an unusually shiny gloss over their bodies. In the wild, they're normally found in rainforest areas or forests, and they build circular orb webs in the gaps between trees where flying insects tend to pass through. The spiders themselves sit in the center of their webs, with pairs of legs held together in an X-like shape. But what's more unusual is the ornamentation they add to the web. They create bluish-white ribbons in a cross shape that pass through the center of the web. And while they may look impressive, biologists still aren't sure what the purpose of these are. Known as a stabilimentum, it's thought that it may reflect ultraviolet light to attract insects, but it may also aid in helping the spider appear to potential predators like it's much larger than it actually is, and as a result encourage them to think twice about attacking. In the worst case, though, if something attacks a St. Andrew's cross spider, it's able to rapidly vibrate itself and its web, which creates such a blur it could confuse any threats. Number 7. Trashline Orbweaver. Trashline orb weavers are a group of more than 180 different species of orb-weaving spiders that are found in virtually every region around the world. Known for being some of the smallest spiders of all, they build tiny webs that in some cases are just a few inches across and are renowned for their inclusion of web decorations. Made from thicker silk, along with the remains of previously caught prey and debris that the spider has collected from the surrounding area, each species has its own unique decoration that it creates. Some form what look like decoy spiders, which are thought to be a way of protecting themselves against predators, while others may create structures like complicated spiral shapes that make it difficult for predators to see where the spider is. The full benefit of ornamentations like these aren't fully understood, though, and while they clearly offer benefits in protecting against predators, it's believed they may also help to attract prey, too. Whether this also relies on confusing the vision of insects or attracting them with colors in a spectrum we can't detect isn't clear, and is currently a focus of researchers to understand once and for all. Number 6. Green-fanged tube-web spider. The green-fanged tube-web spider is the largest known of its genus across Europe, and are easily recognizable because of their dark, hairy bodies, along with their almost luminous green fangs. With bodies that grow up to almost an inch, they search their environment for cracks and crevices that can provide the ideal spot for building their web. Once a location has been chosen, they weave a tubular web inside the crack, which then has several lines that radiate from it. The spider hides within the tube with its front legs on the ends of these lines, then waits until prey comes close. Once something triggers the line, the spider will launch out, grab it, and then pull it back into the opening of the tube, where it'll begin to eat its catch. With the ability to pull further back into the tube if it feels at risk, or if its meal puts up more than a fight than it expects. While they may be small and pose little serious risk, they do have a potent venom that can be incredibly painful to humans. This venom makes short work of any insects caught in the web, though, but they'll also be careful to attack insects on the head to keep themselves safe from any stingers. When females give birth, they release their eggs within the tube, and once the spiderlings hatch, they'll often eat their mother on the way out. Number 5. Feather-legged lace weaver. Found naturally across Europe, Asia, and Africa, feather-legged lace weavers are a small species of spider that can grow to up to 1/5 of an inch. They're one of the more common types of spider you'll see in populated areas of these regions and are particularly prevalent in garden centers. And one of the main reasons they're so successful is the way they build and use their webs. They're so small that they have to defend themselves against countless potential predators, and the way they do this is simply to pretend like they're dead. This even extends to their webs, which look like they've been long abandoned, but are purposefully built like this so any hungry birds won't feel wildly optimistic about finding anything to eat. The spiders themselves hang from the middle of the web, motionless, and even their spiderlings look like dead insects and are virtually impossible to see when they're on the web. In many ways, though, the construction of a bedraggled-looking web is much more impressive than making a perfect one. The spider will create strands that break and dangle, and the overall effect looks just like an ancient cobweb. Number 4. Long-jawed Orbweaver. Long-jawed orbweavers are a group of several hundred spider species that are known for their elongated bodies and legs, and they often live near rivers or areas where there are large amounts of vegetation where they build small orb webs. On occasion, however, they'll exhibit behavior that's quite rare with spiders. They'll combine their efforts and begin to build communal webs together. Normally, this doesn't cause too much of an issue, but sometimes so many of them can combine forces that the result is a web that covers an almost unbelievably huge area. One of the most recent times this is known to have happened was in the Greek island town of Hyptiotes in 2018, when residents woke one morning to find a web along the beach that was almost 1,000 feet or 300 meters long. Incredibly, the entire thing had been spun overnight and covered everything in its path, including shrubs and trees. According to researchers, the weather conditions had made it ideal for the spiders to have a mating party, whereby they all lived together for a few days to reproduce and create a new generation of spiderlings. Similar events have also been seen in Israel and elsewhere across their range, and it's something that can happen virtually any time without any warning at all. Number 3. Green leaf web spider. Found across Europe, North Africa, and Asia, the green leaf web spider is just one of a few species that weave a mesh web. These designs are very similar to the sticky cobwebs that you may find in the corner of a room, but are instead built outdoors, under leaves, in fields, and under rocks. Once the webs are built, the green leaf spider will then hide in one corner and simply wait until enough has been caught in the web for it to be worth risking exposing itself to collect its reward. Growing to just a fraction of an inch or a few millimeters long, these spiders are at a real risk of predation, so they have to be careful with each and every move that they make. Luckily for them, their green color makes them almost impossible to see when they're sat on a leaf. But it's the moment that they leave this vantage point that the real risk begins. That's why they expertly craft their webs where they do, but the downside is that far fewer insects are likely to pass by. To make up for this, they have extremely complex and sticky construction, which means that anything that does try to crawl through is almost certainly going to be caught. Number 2. Northern jeweled spider. Australia is known for having a wide variety of different spider species, but possibly one of the most beautiful and ingenious is the northern jeweled spider. Found in regions around Queensland, they're a type of spiny orb-weaving spider, but have a particularly clever way of attracting prey into their web instead of waiting for random luck. Growing to around half an inch or around 12 millimeters long, they can be a range of different colors and develop exoskeletal spines along their backs, and it's this unusual appearance that gives them an advantage. To begin with, they build a typical circular orb, but will then position themselves at the center. They then orient themselves in a way that mimics the light and dark patches in the surrounding vegetation, and the way that their backs light up give the impression that that's where there's an opening in the undergrowth. The theory is that any insects on the ground that are looking for somewhere to fly up into the sky are more likely to choose the spider's reflection as the best route. By the time they realize their mistake and try to avoid danger, it's far too late, and they become trapped in the web. The colors of the spider have also been found to trick insects by mimicking those seen on flowers, and with these techniques, jeweled spiders have been shown to catch significantly more insects than other orb weavers that live in the same ecosystems. Number 1. Black Widow. Black widows are some of the most feared spiders on Earth, and rightly so. Despite growing to just half an inch or 13 millimeters long, they possess one of the most dangerous bites of all the spiders. Although because they're relatively docile and because the potency of their venom is widely over-reported, surprisingly few people actually die as a result, even though more than an average of 3,000 bites are recorded each year in the United States. One of the more amazing aspects of black widows are the webs that they build, which are remarkably strong. Rather than building them between branches, the other spiders prefer to hide in natural crevices or ones that have been dug by other animals, and they'll cover the entrance with the tangled web. At first, the design may seem haphazard, but the more that you look at it, the more you realize that every strand has been meticulously placed in a way that means it's impossible to reach the entrance without knocking into at least one. It's arguably the most effective burglar alarm in the natural kingdom, because the moment a strand is touched, the spider, which normally hangs at the center, will be alerted and can decide whether that it scents a potential prey, in which case it'll quickly attack before the insect can break free, or a predator, in which case it'll retreat by dropping to the ground on a thread of silk and seeking shelter. Watch our Animals playlist for more top 15 videos about animals. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best animal-related videos.